Hi guys, it's Chris at Cork and Crown, back in the cider shed with some more cider to try. And it's two ciders actually. And in the last film, well, not the last film was one I filmed a while ago, forgot about and posted. It was the Ross and Why, what was it, Brandy and Blakeney Red, yeah. But the one before that was actually the last one I filmed, before this one. I did the Galipette from France, the Breton cider basically. And I said I was doing it because I was looking to do a film with my friend Ned, author of the book Cheesemonger's History of the British Isles. Known him for 20 years. Let's just do a thing. Let's have a laugh. Not just a laugh. Seriously do it. But I was thinking of things to do. We're not going to send out boxes for anyone. We're going to tell people what cheese we're going to have and what cider we're going to have. And then if they can get those things, great. But I was looking for alternatives to suggest, just so people can drink along with something if they want. We're going to talk general terms rather than specifics. So just as long as you've got general characteristics to think about when you're drinking, that's all you really need. So I was looking for stuff that people could have, that they could readily get, that was readily available, basically. So that's why I picked up the Galipette. So today, I got two more. And I treat these sorts of tastings seriously. I really do. Because most people who drink cider, this is the kind of thing they're drinking. Okay? Thatchers, Westerns, those kinds of things. Aspels. And that's fine. That's fine. We're in no position to say those people are wrong. If they like these things, that's fantastic. Okay? It's family owned. Been going for like almost 120 years. They're aging in oak, blah, blah, blah. These are vintage. I think it's 100% juice. I don't know for sure, actually, if that is the case. But I'm thinking this is 100% juice. So cool. It's a fast fermentation. They spend, I think it's like eight days in the fermenter, something like that. Fast fermentation. One of the things I often talk about when I'm talking about the sort of ciders and perries that I sell is that they press the juice, they put it in a fermenter, and then they leave it over the winter in the cold months for a very long, slow fermentation and maturation. And that's what gives you subtle, delicate, complex flavours. That's one of the things anyway. Okay? It's more than just the apple. There's lots of other elements, and that's one of them. These guys don't do that. Fast fermentations, they get it done quick. So you're not going to get the complexity from the fermentation. You're simply not. And they're not using wild yeasts, one assumes. I mean, they won't be. They'll be using, yeasts that are bought from a lab to guarantee that those thousands and thousands and thousands of litres of cider turn into something that they can sell. Otherwise, they're going to go bust. Okay? So there's reasons why they do it. Okay? And I get it. It's fine. So I thought, these are worthy of our attention because so many people drink them, but also, could we use them at our tasting? Could we use it? Would it be okay? For me to think that people would it be comparable? How would that be? Yeah. So we've got two. This one is a dessert apple. This one is bittersweet. So we're going to open this one first. Katy, actually developed in Sweden. Katy, it was called Katy, I think originally. First sort of cultivated, I think, in 1947. Was introduced into England in the 60s. Some guy changed its name to Katy. It's a cross between, I think, James Greaves and a Worcester Pearmain. Worcester Pearmain, I know, because I got one in my garden. And that's kind of a sort of a, it's not russet, but it's got a slight, it's not too acid. It's got almost like a strawberry flavour. It's quite gentle, sweet apple. James Greaves, I think, was brings a bold acidity. I think it was, I'll post the name here if I'm saying it wrong. I might just post the names here anyway, what the heck. But more of a bright acid sort of varietal, so I expect this to be, more like an East Coast style cider, Suffolk, Kent, etc. Let's get on with it. I've already wasted 3 minutes. Jesus Christ. Right. Quite cold, so I expect this to be bright. It will be force carbonated. Let's see how much carbonation there is as well. That's another thing. They can over-carbonate very easily. I expect it to be very pale. As I saw it. I expect it to be very pale in colour, which it is. We expect this, because it's bittersweet, to have more tannin there for more colour in it. So think about the colour when we pour them out. Look at that. Very, very pale. I mean, it's almost like a pear. Where's my thingamajig? Here it is. I mean, very pale. I mean, can I call that gold? Almost greeny lemon water gold, something like that. Totally bright, obviously. This will be filtered, I'm sure. Let's have a sniff. This has won awards and stuff, apparently. So I'll be interested to see what it's like. I don't know what the award was for. Lightest colour? I don't know. Let's find out. Let's smell it. Very delicate nose. Super delicate. Quite floral, light. I mean, there's apple in there. Fresh apple, though. Like freshly cut. Like, I don't know. I want to say like a Braeburn or something like, or maybe like a Jazz or something like that. You know, one of those things you get in the supermarket. Now, I don't think it's the power of suggestion, but one of the characteristics of Worcester Peppermint is it's got slight strawberryness, and I want to say there's a hint of strawberry to it, but I don't know if that's just because I've read that or I knew that before that I'm saying it. It's possible. Yeah, I would say there's almost a hint of strawberry about it, fresh strawberry. Let's try it. It's too cold. Just came out of the fridge. Okay. This is 7.4%. 7.4. So are they adding sugar to get up to that? It's pretty bold for a dessert apple. 7.4 seems off the scale. So one has to assume they're doing something. I don't know what they're doing. Are they making concentrates and watering it down to desired ABV, or are they adding extra sugar to bump it up, chaptalizing it? Questions, don't know. It doesn't say anything on the website or on the bottle about it. I didn't expect it to, but I'd be interested to know. Doesn't taste 7.4. It is sweet. It is sweet. And I don't mind sugar, but it has got that slightly cloying acidity, sweetness, which I don't appreciate. It's like having a flabby wine. This has got a bit of acidity, but it's like having a flabby wine. Flabby wine as in, so usually means white wines, which have rich but have no acidity, so it's just like cloying. That's what I tend to get off commercial ciders quite a lot. They're flabby in the same sort of way. I mean, it has got a bit of that acidity, but it almost doesn't feel big enough to stand up to that richness. It's 7.4% and sweet like this. I mean, something's been done to get it this sweet. I mean, there wasn't residual sugar left in it. This hasn't been kept. There wasn't residual sugar left in. The nose is quite pleasant, actually. I just think it's the bubbles are. I think it's a little bit. May actually need a bit of those bubbles in actually to try and balance some of that richness. To be honest. It's very sweet. There's no tannin to speak of. It has got some acidity, but even that's not enough to balance that richness. If you've got a really sweet tooth and you like apples, you'd love this. Don't drink too much of it, you get absolutely hammered. You would be pissed if you drank this at the speed I feel you could drink it, because it actually hides its alcohol so well. I don't know if it's a good or a bad thing, but I'm going to have to neck this. Okay. I actually feel like if they pulled back the sweetness a bit, the richness, you'd have got a much better drink. You've always got that light, almost strawberry character, I think, would have come to the fore. It's almost been drowned by what I get on the nose is kind of the levels I want to get in the palate, and on the palate it's much sweeter and richer than the nose suggests. The nose almost like it's quite that kind of fruity, strawberry, perfumey element. It's actually quite pleasant. Okay, where's me? Let's go for the this one, which is also, so this is a 2020 mature pick of the year 2020 mature character. So the do aging oak, I mean, they're 150-year-old, like food, like big sort of oak maturing vats they've got. But they're not in there. They're only, I mean, they're old, so they're not going to impart a lot of flavour because, well, they're not going to impart any flavour really. It's things like micro-oxygenation. It's going to allow a bit of oxygen to penetrate, which will give you a bit more colour and sort of flavour development, etc. One assumes that's it. I don't know how long they're in there for. I think it's only a few weeks. So again, they're spending a lot less time in those vats maturing once they're fermented than they would just normally a traditional farm. You know, they would be like months of fermentation. These are talking like, what, 2 months from going into the fermentation container to coming out of the maturing barrels, vats, whatever you call them, conditioning vats, blah blah. What does it say? We've chosen the finest bittersweet apples from the pick of the year, matured for a fuller flavour. This is a timeless medium dry cider. Don't know what timeless means. Deep in flavour yet light in colour, the richness of Thatcher's vintage is rounded off with a satisfying crisp sparkle. Deep in flavour yet light in colour. Okay. Let's try it. Yeah. Is it as light in colour as the first one? I mean, I would assume not. Oh no, it's not quite as light in colour. It's a little bit. I mean, that is a gold. We're going to give that. That is a gold. I mean, if you're being very generous, you can see it's almost bordering on amber. Almost. But it's quite a nice gold, actually. And that has got a lot more colour you'd get from most culinary dessert apples, that's for sure. Nice head on it, I have to say. I hope it's not as fizzy as the last one. I hope not, but let's find out. Yeah, you can tell this has got a bit more bittersweet. There's a bit more darkness to it, almost a slight toffee hint, a hint of earthiness. I would suggest, there's a bit more of the forest floor, orchard floor, whatever you call it, in there. Yeah, it's a bit deeper, a bit darker. It's got that sort of, rather than that fresh, bright, sort of freshly cut jazz apple thing, it has got that kind of slightly more baked apple character, which you tend to get from bittersweets and like well-made cider. Well, well-made cider. Ciders that I prefer, I would say. Yeah, there's a toffee character to it, which isn't bad. All right. So, this is also very sweet, I think. Doesn't say what it is, as in dry, medium dry. I mean, I think they would classify this as like a medium dry. That's what I think, based on the other things I've had from other producers. Yeah. It's again, for me, it's too sweet. It's slightly cloyingly sweet. I still don't believe you can get 7.4% alcohol from fresh juice and still have that level of residual sugar, unless you're doing something like back sweetening from concentrates or back sweetening full stop once you've finished fermentation or whatever. It has got like a toffee apple thing on the nose, which is actually nice. A little bit more tannin, just a hint. Still pretty sweet. I don't understand. I think the bubbles are a bit better than this. They feel a bit finer. I mean, that head suggests that, doesn't it? But it doesn't need quite as much sweetness as this. It doesn't need quite as much sweetness. I mean, their Rascal, I can drink actually, and it even says on the back of that what the varieties are. I think it's Trimlet's Bitter. Oh gosh, I can't remember. Trimlet's Bitter is one of them, and then maybe it's Yankton Mill or Damonet, whatever. I can't remember, but it's got them listed on the back, which is fantastic. That actually is. You can almost taste the apple a bit more. It's only 4.5, so it's like 3% less than this in alcohol. Not as sweet. It is a bit thin, but I just feel I can get more out of the components because it's not quite as rich and sweet as this. It's a better cider than this, and it's only 4.5%, and it's obviously been watered back a bit to get to that alcohol, which is it's common practice. I don't care about that, but yeah. It's like toffee apple on the nose. Too rich, too sweet. The acidity is all right, but it's so sweet that it's not enough. And there's a hint of hard tannin on the back, the merest hint. If it wasn't quite so rich, I'd get more of that, and it'd be a more balanced drink for me. Okay, guys, there you go. I will not be. I mean, people. I don't care what people drink. It's absolutely fine. But for my talk, I shan't be using these because, as usual, they're just too rich, too sweet, too cloying. It's too much for my palate. And I don't think they represent traditionally made farmhouse cider. Because I've never had any traditionally made proper farmhouse cider that tasted anything like that. Ever. So I can't use those as representative. All right, guys. I quite enjoyed that. I genuinely did. You've probably turned off already because it's just me in the shed, sort of like going off on one. But anyway, if you did stick with it to the end, thank you very much, and I hope to see you again. The next video will be shorter, I promise. But yeah, but before then, go off, enjoy yourselves. Come back when you're ready. Yeah. Cheers.